Well, welcome to the 27th episode of the Backpacking Cycle. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how your poor health is impacting your mental well-being and how to get control of this, how to get healthy, and how to alleviate your symptoms of your mental health problems, whether this be anxiety, depression, or just a lack of self-belief and self-worth. All of this can be directly and massively impacted by poor health. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting conversation. So I think first, before we get into kind of the metrics of what defines good health and how to optimize your health, we need to talk about how and why you need to get healthy and what are the steps you need to take right now. So if you're not healthy, if you're not focusing your time and your focus on getting healthy, if you're not looking life through the lens of health, you're really shortcutting your whole existence, and you're going to give yourself a very minimal chance of success in every aspect of your life. It's not just being healthy is not just living longer. It's feeling optimized in the process. It's achieving your material goals. It's being able to build relationships with people, being mindful and being present of what's happening around you, feeling confident in yourself. Everything gets directly influenced by your health. So the notion that people just ignore their health in pursuit of material goals, or they ignore their health to give into their impulses or to fit into with what their friends are doing or what society's doing, is absolutely ridiculous. You need to take control of your health right now. If you don't have control of your health and you're suffering from deficiencies from the food you're eating, or if you're not sleeping well enough, if you're not exercising and you've got extra body fat and you're out of shape, you're really shortcutting yourself to success. And the best way to feel better about yourself and then to impact others is to get healthy first. You can't change others till you can change yourself. And if you want to achieve any of your material goals, you need to start getting healthy. It's so important. So, improving your health as well, it shows that you can get good at something. As soon as you start taking your health in hand and you start optimizing your diet, and you see foods make me feel like this way, and when I eat good foods make me feel better. And when you start looking into your sleep and optimizing that, you get into the gym and you're smashing out weights, or you're doing a load of cardio. You see changes in your body fat, your body composition. You start to build confidence just from your own intuition. You look at yourself and it's look, I've made these tangible changes in my life, and now I'm actually seeing the results. I'm seeing my energy levels be more focused. I'm seeing my ability to concentrate on tasks being greater. I'm seeing my confidence in my ability to go out and socialize becoming better. I'm seeing my body composition change. I'm looking like I've got a bit of a bicep muscle. My chest is popping a little bit. And all of these are signs that you're doing the right things and you're taking control of your health. And it builds up confidence for you. It shows that you can do difficult things, because if you look around you right now and you look at society as a whole, how many people are healthy? And don't just look at the Instagram models and see the people that are shredded, because if that's how you define health, you don't know what's going on in their insides. You don't know how they're eating or what steroids they're putting into their body, or if they're healthy minded. You don't know what people's states of mind are. But when you look at the average person on the street, look how unhealthy people are. And it's a hard thing to do, and especially in a society today that is cultivated around making us unhealthy as possible. The food we eat is being engineered to be as sweet as possible, with calorie dense, with added sugars to make us fatter so we're more sedated. The work schedule and the grind of capitalism is all around get up early, stay in the office late, sacrifice sleep, you'll sleep when you're dead, which is again making us more depressed, more anxious and more sedated, so we're easier to control. And people, there's a weird thing about exercise and fat shaming now. When it's good to be fat apparently, which is completely ridiculous. If you're fat, you're unhealthy. It's okay if you are a bit overweight, or if you're really overweight, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, and there's things you can do to get healthier. But to say that it's good to be fat is just a completely ridiculous notion. If you're overweight and you had kids, would you want your kids to have the mental state of someone who's maybe a bit chubbier and be a bit less confident, and to have body fat and have their body be destroyed? Of course you wouldn't. So why would you promote that out to the rest of the world, that it's good to be fat? So we live in a weird time and a weird society where everything's cultivated around bad health. So taking control of your health right now is going to get you into the upper echelon of people in society. It's going to get you to that top 1%, because no one else is doing it. So, right, after that rant, let's go on to what we can do to optimize our health. So with this podcast, I want to look through the lens of like 3 aspects of health that I think are the most crucial, and none of these is any more important than the other. They're all intertwined and all work in like a systematic approach where like each influences each other. So the first one is sleep, the next is diet, and the last one is exercise. And I'll throw in little bits of tips here and there for other things as I go, but they're the main 3 focuses of what I think you're going to get 80% of your health benefits from. So I think the first one that we need to start with, which is probably the most underrated and it's got the weirdest notion around it, is sleep. And people seem to think that you can sleep when you're dead. Like if you're sleeping 10 hours a day, you're lazy. We've got this really weird notion about like sleep not being important. And honestly, I'm going to say right now, if sleep dictates how well your life goes, if you're sleeping 6 hours a night or less, your whole life is going to deteriorate. You're going to be less confident. You're going to be more anxious. Your body's going to start breaking down. Your hormones are going to tank. You're going to have less testosterone. Everything, like you're going to give into your impulses easier. So like sleep is so important. It's unbelievable. And it's at the core of what health is. And I just think, right, through evolution, we've been evolving for 3.5 billion years. That was when like the first single cell organism popped up on the earth. However that happened, right? Through that process of evolution, everything that has gone through that process of natural selection has the need to sleep. Everything in nature sleeps. Not just humans, not just animals, fish, organisms, bacteria. Everything has time where they shut off and sleep and rest and recover. So it's took nature 3.5 billion years to get to the point where humans have evolved this 8-hour sleep cycle. We sleep for 8 hours. That is the optimal time for humans. And it's obviously going to fluctuate for individuals, but 8 hours roughly is a very good time to be actually asleep. And we've gone in the last 50 years, 100 years, we've cut that down by 20%. So now on average, people are sleeping 6 hours a night, which you're shortcutting your whole body and your whole system of the essential rest it needs. So yeah, we need to make sure we're prioritizing sleep. So why does sleep affect your mental health? And there's so many ways like a lack of sleep will affect your mental health, but like a few of the ones I really notice is just your ability to be present in the moment and not give in to your impulses. So when you've had a lack of sleep and you've been sleeping consistently, like quite uninterrupted, and you've not had like a stable sleep and wake pattern, your mind tends to operate on what is ever the easiest, most and instant gratification choice. And like it's a constant battle that you're trying to like battle your mind to do the things that are productive for you. And when you have a lack of sleep, it's like you shortcut this process that happens. And this is because we have a part of our brain called the amygdala, which is in charge of our emotional response. So this is where our fight or flight comes from, right? So our impulses come from our emotions. So when you have an emotional reaction, you have an impulse with that to go and do something to give into that emotion. And so what happens is we evolved through natural selection and a process of billions of years. I was saying before, we've evolved this prefrontal cortex, which is like the CEO of our brain. And what it does is it sends signals and interpretations back and forward from the amygdala to make sure that we're not just giving into all of our impulses and all our emotions, and it gives us like a logical sense of the world. And you need both to be in contingents and working together, right? But what happens when you have a lack of sleep is the connection between the prefrontal cortex, the logical side, and your emotions, the amygdala, gets cut off. So you end up just being all emotions. So you end up giving into your impulses more. You end up binge eating more. You end up having like extreme bouts of anxiety and depression because every little thing that happens, you haven't got this logical lens to interpret that through. You've only just got pure emotion. So you're going to be running off of whatever your emotions have interpreted this situation. And this is a big problem in society, is because people are constantly sleep deprived and constantly giving into their anxieties, their depressions, their binge eating, their their shame, whatever it may be. They're giving into these emotions because they're depriving their prefrontal cortex the communication to their amygdala. So that's how it affects you for like making bad habits. And like bad habits have a compounding effect. The more you deprive yourself of sleep, the more bad habits you're going to give into. And then from that, you're going to do more habits, which will make you feel worse, which will deprive your sleep again because you're going to feel worse about yourself. And then you're going to do more habits, and you're going to like switch the compound effect in a negative way, and your life is going to crumble. And it will only take like maybe a couple of years for everything in your life to start falling apart, for you to feel worthless, for you to feel like you're not going anywhere. And all of this can literally stem from some physiological effects that are happening from a lack of sleep. So yeah, like sleep is so important. Just get a good rest and prioritize it. Like work is not more important than sleep. Getting up early, grinding and going on your business is not more important than sleep. Everything is going to be enhanced by good sleep. Another one that really like kind of shakes me up is the link between lack of sleep and testosterone. So for those that don't know, testosterone is like kind of the male hormone. Obviously, women have it as well, but it's more prominent in males. And it's what makes us like masculine. It's what makes us muscly, gives us confidence and self-beliefs, and it gives us that motivation and drive to go out and achieve things and have that self-assurance of ourselves. And for people who sleep 6 hours a night, or less, for consistently, their testosterone is, for someone 10 years their senior. Like in the male hormone, the most impactful hormone that's going to make you feel good about yourself, you're going to feel 10 years older because you're not sleeping correctly. And we've already got a crisis of testosterone in our modern society. And a lot of this, I think, is coming from a lack of sleep. Also, like a lack of sleep is going to ruin your ability to, as I said before, like the testosterone, which is going to make you less anabolic, which is going to put on more body fat, which is going to then bring up a whole amount of health problems. So there's so many things that come from bad sleep. And when you start optimizing your sleep, you realize that how different life is when you're well rested, and you look life through the lens of like constant energy, and you're not like fluctuating in your hunger as much. You're not giving into all your emotions and your feelings. Your emotional stability is so much stronger and so much more solidified when you are sleeping well. So what can we do to like have good sleep? There's a few recommendations that I like, and one of the biggest impacts that I've had recently is waking up and just seeing sunlight as soon as possible. So the moment you stare at you go outside and you get sunlight in your eyes, the retinas in your eyes are going to interpret that sunlight as to be awake, because we evolved to be waking up with the sun coming up and going to sleep with the sun coming down. So you're going to go outside, look up into the sky, and you're going to see the sun. And what this is going to do is it's going to set off the chemicals in your brain and the biological clock you have to start promoting wakefulness in the day and then sleepiness at night. So you're going to go outside, look up into the sky, and you're going to get an increase in cortisol, which I'm going to mention cortisol a few times in this podcast. But like at this time in the morning, you want cortisol to be there because it brings up the stress in your body and makes you feel awake. So as you're going through the day, you've got this increase in the morning, you've got this increase of cortisol, which is going to make you feel nice and awake. But by then, your biological clock has been set off. So then when you get to nighttime, which is roughly like 15, 16 hours later, whenever that is, right, you're going to have a natural production of melatonin, which is going to set you off to sleep better. So yeah, you're going to feel sleepier at night and more awake in the day, which is perfect, because what often happens is like people are wide awake at night and they can't get asleep. And this sometimes is because you haven't set off your biological clock to be going off at the right time. Another thing is like get off your phones, like ignore your phones from 3 hours before you're going to go to bed, 2 hours before you're going to go to bed. There's a few reasons why, like obviously the blue lights that radiate from your screens are going to stimulate your brain to the production of cortisol, so it's going to stress you out, and the blue light is going to make you feel your brain interprets that as sunlight, so it's going to increase cortisol and make you feel more awake, and then stop the production of melatonin. But also as well, like the things that you look at on your phone, they're going to stimulate bad thoughts and comparisons of others, especially if you're scrolling through social media. And the moment you get off that and you're going to lay down and your head's going to hit the pillow, all you're going to have is thoughts of comparison and insecurity. And this is going to keep you awake again. So get off your phone before, like 2 hours, 3 hours before bed, and just have like a nice stillness. Try and make your environment as dim as possible to, again, like stimulate the production of melatonin and make you feel more tired. But yeah, like make sure you're prioritizing sleep, because without this, it's life gets tons worse. And I notice how even when if I sleep like 6 hours, or if I have like a 10 hour sleep, maybe like sleep for 8 hours of that, and maybe if I sleep for 10 hours, but I actually sleep for 8 hours, but I get a good like rest, I notice how different my state of mind is, how much more confident I am, how much more assertive I am, and how much easier my life flows. So honestly, people, like, do some research into sleep and how you can cultivate an environment that is good for you and works for you. And yeah, really prioritize this, because I can't stress enough how much of a lack of sleep is killing our society. Next is diet. And like, why is diet so important to mental health? And this is, people eat such bad diets now, and there is such like a mass misinformation out there of people trying to give fad diets and trying to solve problems with diets that don't work. And it can be very confusing to know what is healthy nowadays. And this is, again, is society is cultivated in a way where even when things are deemed healthy to us, we have just been fed the wrong information, and the things we think are healthy are actually unhealthy for us. And so again, we've been left out by society thinking that, yeah, this is healthy for me, when actually it's destroying our bodies and mental health. And that's because when we're unhealthy, we're easily monetizable, as I said before. So yeah, we've got to be really careful here. So diet's going to be so important, because it's going to help modulate your energy levels. Like, this probably has one of the biggest impacts out of anything for the modulation of energy levels. And when you're high energy, when you're not fluctuating during the day, feeling energetic and then feeling completely down and no energy, and then feeling energetic again, if you have stable energy levels, you're going to be so much more productive and so much more confident and happier. So yeah, diet has a massive impact on this, and it's really important. So what are some of the ways that diet affects how you feel? First, I want to go on to your blood sugar levels. This is something I've learned about recently, which is really weird, because I've really got into diet a couple of years ago and I was like researching loads about it. But I always thought just like my blood sugar levels was something like trivial. I was like, yeah, I don't need to learn about that. But when you're eating foods that are spiking your blood sugar levels, what this is going to do is it's going to make you feel really energetic at some points once you've ate the food, and then you're going to have a massive crash to like balance out your blood sugar again. So your blood sugar is never like that. And your blood sugar is like your glucose levels. This is how much like glucose is around your body. And when you're eating tons of carbohydrates or like sugary foods, your body's going to your blood sugar levels are going to spike, which gives you loads of energy, but then they're going to have to drop again, which is going to make you feel depressed, anxious, and less energetic. So if you can eat foods that stable your blood sugar, that don't spike up your glucose levels massively, then you're going to be a lot more energetic. And I think a lot of people feel like they have to eat food for energy. Like, they get in the morning, they're like, oh, I feel really ill because I've not ate, and I've got no energy because I've not ate. And it's like, nah, what you're doing there is you're being dependent on food for your energy. Obviously, we need to eat to survive, but we don't need to be constantly eating. And this is because we've not trained our body to burn fat. We're completely dependent on glucose and like sugar. So when we go times without sugar, or we go at times without carbohydrates, our body doesn't know what to do, so therefore our energy levels drop as a signal that we need to eat food. But when you train your body to be metabolically flexible, meaning that it can burn fat and carbohydrates just as effectively, you then get to a point where your body can actually operate on a stable level without having to fluctuate its energy levels for the need of food. And this is going to affect you massively, because like I notice it in times when I'm eating more carbohydrates, like tons of them, maybe like over 200 grams. And some people are eating like their whole diet carbohydrates. And like I'd say I normally hit like 50 to 75 grams, and I utilize them around my workouts. But yeah, well, at times when I'm eating tons of carbs and my blood sugar's like fluctuating all the time, I notice how like I get this thing that I kind of feel my energy drops so much that I feel like I'm not there, and I feel really anxious and on alert. And then I eat some food and then I go back to feeling confident again. And like energized, and then I crash down again and I'm like, oh, I need to eat food because I feel like I'm not there with it. And it's constantly up and down during the day. But when I cut out most of the carbohydrates and most of the processed foods, what happens is I have this like stable energy levels. I literally feel the same all day, which is confident and good. And I'm not spiking up with feeling energized and then feeling worse. So what I'd recommend for this is cutting out most of your carbohydrates and training your body to utilize them in a manner that is effective and productive for what they're for. Like, there is 2 essential macronutrients. You have fat and protein. Without fat, we're dead. Without protein, we're dead. But carbohydrates, we don't need. They are good as a tool for explosive energy. They're a quick source of energy. But we don't need it constantly. We don't need glucose constantly in our body, like spiking up our levels of blood sugar and then crashing down again, because it's just causing inflammation in your body and making you feel worse. So yeah, that's the first, like, look into stabilizing your blood sugar, because that's also going to stop like a lot of mental health problems. I think a lot of anxiety and depression comes from the stress that happens when our blood sugar spikes and then goes down. Because as your blood sugar's spiking, you've got an increase in like free toxins from the burning of glucose. You've also got an increase then in inflammation, which is giving you an increase in cortisol and adrenaline, which is then again making you feel more stressed and more anxious. So really look at like stabilizing your blood sugar levels, because this is going to have a massive impact on your mental well-being. The next is something called our gut biome, which is mega interesting, right? We have a living ecosystem in our gut which modulates our mood, energy levels, and everything to how our immune system and our body works. And yeah, this is made up of bacteria, viruses, all sorts of different organisms that are living in our gut, and they're sending signals to our brain and our body to operate, right? And when this gut biome is out of balance, it's going to lead to you producing chemicals that are going to make you feel worse. The cortisol, the adrenaline, it's going to lead to systemic inflammation happening in your body. So you need to make sure you've got good bacteria that is in line with what your body is evolved to have. So, and also another one is if you're eating like foods that you're intolerant to, or if you're eating foods that you have like slight allergies to, or like processed foods that have like bad bacteria in there, it's going to erode your gut lining, and then undigested food is going to go into your blood system, and then your white blood cells are going to attack them, causing systemic inflammation. And from this inflammation, as I said before, is going to be the production of cortisol, the burning of free toxins. Everything's going to like come bad from this systemic inflammation. And inflammation is one of the biggest causes of it's the cause of everything bad in our health, because from a lack of sleep you get inflammation in the brain and the body. From a bad diet you get inflammation in the brain and the body. So yeah, like inflammation can be a good thing when it's not systemic and it's not caused by our downfalls. But yeah, like your gut biome has a massive effect on how you feel. So 95, this is a good fact that I read the other day, right? 95% of your serotonin is made in your gut. Therefore, for those that don't know, serotonin is kind of like the feel-good hormone. I wouldn't say the feel-good hormone, but it kind of modulates your level of confidence and your interpretation of the world. And when you have like a lack of serotonin, this is when people become depressed. So this is what SSRIs are. They're serotonin levelers. They level out your serotonin levels. So if 95% of serotonin is made in the gut and you've got an imbalanced gut biome, you're going to produce in less serotonin, which is going to make you feel more depressed and more anxious. So yeah, look into your gut biome and like really figure out like what foods am I intolerant to? What foods make me feel better? And like ways you can do this, which is something that I played around with for a while, and it took me a while to understand what foods make me feel good, was I just did an elimination diet. I literally just cut out all the foods that are known to cause you, that are known to have allergies or intolerances. And then I just seen how I felt without them. And I started introducing them back in slowly and through this fine tuning of, right, I've cut out eggs and then I've introduced them and I feel fine. But then I cut out wheat and introduce that, and then I feel really anxious and really weird, and my energy levels fluctuate when I eat wheat. So right, let's cut out wheat. And through this process, I've just managed to come to a very like low carb / keto diet, which makes me feel amazing. It levels out my blood sugar, makes me feel very confident and very assertive, and also helps me, it makes my body feel right. Like I feel good when I'm on a low carb keto diet. And that was just through a process of eliminating foods and seeing what works for me. Then next, obviously, again, like your diet's going to have a massive impact on your hormones like testosterone. So yeah, like if you're eating bad foods and you're not eating like a lot of protein and you're not eating a lot of fat, then you're going to have struggle producing the hormones that make you feel good. And we are just like hormone machines, Wick. I don't think people realize to what extent we're controlled by our hormones and how much our emotional stability is influenced by the chemicals in our body. So if you're not producing the right amount of testosterone, then you're going to again feel less confident. With this, coupled with the lack of sleep, you're going to be ruined. You're going to really struggle to operate in our society and be optimal and to actually succeed whatever you want to succeed. So yeah, so a few things that I'm just going to summarize is do an elimination diet or get a food intolerance and allergy test. Cut out sugar for as much as you can. And if you're going to have sugar, do it in a manner that is working around something that is like exercise. So you're storing glucose properly and you're not just like burning glucose for the sake of energy. You're actually utilizing it for what it's for, which is a quick sort of like a quick form of energy. And that's all I'd say. Like, make sure you cut out all processed foods. You don't need to be eating processed foods at all. They're doing you no good. And if anything, they're just going to make your life worse. Like, eat whole foods, things that we've evolved to eat. We've not evolved to eat a bag of Skittles or a Mars bar. And we're not evolved eating pasta either. So don't eat these things. Eat things that are healthy, that have just maybe one ingredient and are whole foods. That's going to be your best shout. Next is exercising, and this, when I just come into my own right, this is what I've just been focusing my attention on for the last 2 years, 3 years, and it's really made a massive impact on everything. And through exercising, through getting into the gym and working out and seeing my body transform, I've had this natural inclination to want to improve my diet and want to improve my sleep, just because I know they have a massive impact on how I perform exercising. So what I would always say to people, for people who want to get healthy, is the easiest way to start, maybe not the most effective, but the best way to start is just by exercising. I'd say it is the most effective as well. All these are effective as each other, but the best way to start is just go out and exercise, because through exercising, you're going to build the discipline of going out and doing something that's hard. And then once you go and do that, you're going to get the rush of endorphins that make you feel good, that make you feel motivated, that make you feel more confident. And this is going to lead into you making better choices around your diet and your sleep. But also, just with exercising, like once you see progress in yourself, whether that's you can now run a mile, you can run 2 miles, whether that's you're starting to get a bicep muscle, as I said before, like whatever it is, whatever you measure success with exercise, you're going to see that the more you do this, the more you want to improve yourself and get better at whatever exercise you're pursuing. And then you're going to start looking into diet. You're going to start looking into sleep, because you'll come across how these impact exercise. And it's just like holistically the best way to start in health. So how does exercise impact your mental well-being? And the first one is just purely from a confidence sense of how getting in shape makes you respect yourself, and it makes you perceive that it makes you this is tough. Sometimes I do these podcast boys and like I get like 30 minutes in and I start like stuttering and doing all my words wrong, and it's so annoying. But right, let's start that again. So getting in shape, right, it's just going to give you the confidence. So you're going to know that outwardly other people are going to perceive you differently. They're going to give you more respect. You're going to garner more confidence in yourself, because you know people look at you with admiration, and they do. Someone who has a good physique, you're always going to be admirable of that, because you can see tangible results of that person's hard work. You can see that person's gone to the gym. They've got up when they didn't want to. They've sacrificed when they didn't want to. They've dedicated time to looking after their body. So having a good physique is not only going to make you feel better, because you know you look better, and it's going to give you more confidence in that sense, because who doesn't get more confidence from looking good? but also it's going to make people respect you more, which is you're going to have better interactions with people. And this is going to alleviate a lot of anxiety and depression, because a lot of it comes from, and a lot of people have self-image problems, and maybe self-image problems can be a good motivator to start working out and solving these self-image problems. And realistically, you're not going to solve them by always looking better. Like, it's something in your mind. It's a perception of how you think people perceive you. But a good way to start is actually just looking better and getting in shape. It gives you so much more confidence. Also, the assurance you're going to build in yourself from getting in shape is crazy, right? Like, lifting weights and going to the gym is like, give me something crazy, because you come home and take your top off and like you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, that is like tangible results of every time I've gone to the gym. Like, I can literally see through the way my physique has been sculpted, all the times that I went to the gym after work, all the times I've tracked my calories, I've slept, all the times I've gone and did a hard workout, that's all there in my physique right there. And it's for me to like embody and look at and be proud of. And more than anything, it's going to just give you confidence, which is going to alleviate anxiety and depression. So also, when you're exercising, you're just going to get a massive increase in endorphins and good chemicals. So you're going to get an increase in serotonin. You're going to get dopamine spikes. You're going to have the reduction of bad inflammation, because inflammation is good, because like when you're tearing muscles down or whatever, you need inflammation for the muscles to heal. But it's going to like reduce the amount of bad inflammation. This is again going to balance your gut biome. It's going to make you sleep better at night. So all these things are going to increase just from going out and exercising. You're going to have a massive, especially if you're going into the gym right as well, you're going to have a massive increase in testosterone, which is going to be huge for you having more confidence and being more assertive. And also it's going to make your body more anabolic to put on muscle. So yeah, just go out and exercise. And like, how would I recommend doing this? For most people, I would just say get into the gym. Like, even if you're a woman and you're listening to this and you think, I don't want to be muscly, like nothing bad's going to come from like building muscle, because you're going to look more defined. You're going to look better, feel better. You're going to have the production of chemicals that make you feel good. And for men, like, it's going to make you feel more assertive, more confident. So go and lift weights and then do cardio 2 to 3 times a week. Go and just do like a light cardio, or go and do like hill sprints are always good. Some like HIIT exercises, some HIIT workouts, whatever you can do just to like get your cardiovascular system going. Because again, this has got a bunch of good benefits for your body. But yeah, I would say start working out, and I've got another podcast, how to get into shape, if you want to listen into that. That's what I'd recommend. So that's pretty much all 3 of them encapsulated in what I would say is how health impacts your mental well-being. A few other things I want to say is like vitamin D. This is so important, right? So vitamin D is the precursor of testosterone, and vitamin D comes from the sun. So when the sun hits our skins and it hits our skin and whatever, we get the production of vitamin D in our body, right? And vitamin D is essential for your immune system. It's essential for the production of testosterone, for confidence, for alleviating depression. So if you're not out in the sun all the time, and say if you live in an office, or say if you live somewhere where it's not always that sunny, go and get vitamin D supplements. I would recommend 5,000 to 10,000 UI a day, which is really high, but yeah, because we live in these boxes now, and we live in a society where we're not always outside and we're not always getting sun, it's so important. So I'd say 5,000 to 10,000 UI of vitamin D. This is also going to help you like sleep as well, so really important. And yeah, that's pretty much everything I've got to say, guys. I struggled a bit today for some reason. I don't know why. I did a massive workout this morning. I was in the gym for like 2.5 hours, and I can tell sometimes when you really work out that hard, the rest of the day does feel a little bit harder. Maybe it's not optimal to go and like smash your body that much, but I just love doing it. So, but I really did tell like my ability to have a train of thought like struggled a little bit today, and my articulation struggled, but I still think there is tons of valuable information for you in there, and I really hope you got some value out of that. And one thing again is, I just want to say at the end of this, don't try and do everything at once. Don't try and optimize your sleep and eat healthy and then exercise, because all you're going to do is overload your brain with things that are too hard to do, and you're just going to give up on everything. So out of what I said today, pick one thing that you want to do. So I'm going to say, if you're not exercising, start exercising, whether that be 10 press-ups a day, whether that be a walk a day, whatever it is, right? Whatever you can do, just to like start the motor of you exercising, start doing that. But like pick something today, and they're all just as important as each other, and focus on that for a month, maybe 2 months, and really get that optimized and really get that efficient for you, and then pick up another thing. And through a process of you doing this for a year and a half, 2 years, you're going to have all these habits that you've given sufficient time to build on top of each other, and then you're going to be this new compounded version of you that is just completely optimized and healthy and feeling confident about themselves. So don't try and improve all your aspects of your health at once. And this is one thing I can really wish I said to my younger self. I've been on this journey for a while, and I think I would have made massive leaps in my progress if I just stopped trying to do everything. So yeah, pick one thing that you want to improve, and then just improve it and work on it and research about it and get knowledge about it, and then apply that knowledge. And don't try and do everything at once, because you're not suddenly going to get healthy. Getting healthy is a process that takes time. And especially if you've abused your body with with really bad processed food, or you've abused it with a lack of exercise, a sedated lifestyle, not enough sunlight. So it's going to take process and it's time, but you can completely transform your health in a year. Not even that, 6 months, if you just start taking action right now. So don't let your health keep deteriorating and get to the point where you can't do anything or you're lacking energy, because it's just going to make it worse to get healthy. And I often look at people that struggle with their health, and they have this very victims mentality. And 80% of health is completely in our control. It's that 80-20 rule. Obviously, 20% of life is something might happen to you. You might get hit by a car. You might have some really unfortunate external event happen. Your genetic code might just have a malmutation in it, and you might have an illness from that. But 80% of your health is in your control, and your life is going to be dictated by how healthy you are. So the habits you do day in, day out are going to affect how you look and feel. So yeah, thank you very much for listening, people. I'm not really sure where I'm going to go with the next episode. I'm thinking of talking about social media and how social media really affects mental health. Not just affects mental health, but affects your whole life. But I know I've already done a social media podcast, so I'll do some research. If anyone's got any recommendations for the Backpacking Psychonaut, let me know. I do want to start getting guests on. I've actually not made any progress on really communicating with any guests. There's one of my mates that's coming on who owns a nutrition business, but we've not sorted out a time or a date yet. So that would be really interesting, because this guy's super interesting, a successful entrepreneur, and yeah, he's really inspiring. So I think that would be a really interesting episode, but I've not heard back from him, so I'll have to check up on him. Other than that, I've got a few ideas of guests I want. I'm not sure how hard it is to get guests who have a large following or a lot of exposure. It's something I'm going to have to work upon and learn how to network with people. But I promise you this, at some point this year, we're going to be having big guests on that are exciting, that are achieving big things. And I'm going to translate my curiosity into a format that we can all learn from and we can all grow together, because the Backpacking Psychonaut is going to take over the world. I've got a little goal that I want to be in 3 years' time, where I want to see the podcast, and I'm going to work tirelessly to achieve that. So yeah, thank you very much for listening, people. Sorry for wasting a little bit of your time talking about me there, but I think it's important that we go on this journey together, because the people that listen to this podcast are the people I want to be surrounded by. I do this podcast and not just my own selfish benefits, but to also benefit others and find people who are on the same journey as me and get motivation from them as well. So it's all about building a community of like-minded people and just all doing our best to influence the world the best way we can. So yeah, thank you very much for listening, people, and I'll see you all in the next episode.